Hey Chem students, here we go with some unit conversions. So this is where we're going to start talking about unit conversions, and for today specifically our goal is that you'll be able to convert units used in everyday life. So I realize this is science, so we'll get to here. I don't want to use a highlighter. We'll get to talking about converting units used for science, but right now we're talking about everyday life. So make sure you have your guided notes with you, make sure you have a pencil, and let's get going. So this is our goal, in some places where you might already be doing this and not know it, is say you go to the store to buy something and it costs 55 cents, and all you have with you are dimes and pennies. You know, most likely from just life and maybe grade school, like how to pay with that. You might not have a 55-cent coin, but you have the coins that will equal that. Another thing is maybe your friend lives 5 blocks away and you know, hey, I can walk a block in about 2 minutes. How many minutes is it going to take me to get there? Okay, so you went from the distance, 5 blocks, to the time it would take you to get there, about 10 minutes, okay? Or maybe you're cooking, maybe you're someone who bakes, and oftentimes you have to maybe double a recipe or cut it in half, something like that, okay? So that's what we're talking about. And what is unit conversion? What it is it's going from one unit or number to another using a known relationship. Make sure you got that. A known relationship between the two. So we're not just making up something and trying to convert between 55 cents and pennies. We know the relationship between those things. Okay, we know a penny is 1 cent. Here, for example, we know that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So if your teacher, if I turn to you and say, hey, like turn and talk to your neighbor for half of a minute, how many seconds do you have? Maybe you did that in your head, maybe you're still thinking about it, but if we look at this stopwatch here, you'd probably be able to say, okay, this whole thing is 60 seconds, that's 1 minute. If I just want half of it, that's going to be 30 seconds. And that might be from experience, or maybe you did something like this. You said, well, okay, if I have 60 seconds, and I only want half of that, half of a minute, just divide it by 2, and I get 30 seconds. There's a number of ways you could have done this, but that's one way you could have done it. What we're going to talk about soon is called dimensional analysis, but first let's just talk about this known relationship thing. Here's some common known relationships. We know that 1 minute is 60 seconds, or an hour is 60 minutes. A yard for you football players is 3 feet. A foot, 12 inches, our ruler. Extra points if you know how many ounces in a pound. You're right, 16. So there's some common known relationships. And dimensional analysis, here we go. What it is, it's a way to show the relationship between measurements. That's that dimensional part, measurements or dimensions, so numbers usually. And we're breaking a complex conversion or complex task into some smaller steps, some smaller, more easier steps. That's what we're working on. So here's kind of the setup, and the setup looks like this, where you start on the left with, which you already know, so we know that we have half of a minute to talk to our neighbor. You could write it like this, 1/2, or I just wrote 0.5 minutes. And we said that, oops, I want to get this out of here. We said that our known relationship between seconds in a minute is that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So I'll write the 60 seconds over 1 minute. And the way this works is we're just going to multiply straight across. So we're going to go 0.5 minutes multiplied by 60 seconds, and that gives us 30. And then the reason we only have seconds at the end and no minutes at all is because if you have something on the top, minutes here on the top, right here, and minutes on the bottom, they cancel each other out. If you possibly remember back from math class, you can take just about anything, any number, you could say 2, just write it as 2, or you could write it as 2 over 1, and it means the exact same thing, because 2 divided by 1 is 2. Hopefully it's not more confusing, but basically what I'm trying to say here is even though, here we go, even though we just have 0.5 minutes right here, we could really write this as 0.5 over 1. So we multiply straight across, and we have our minutes on the top and the bottom, so they cancel each other out, and we're left just with the seconds, which is what we want. We converted from one number to another using a known relationship. Let's use another example quick here. So 1 cup, for those of you who bake, is equal to 16 tablespoons. This is our known relationship. And imagine that we only have a tablespoon for measuring flour, and our brownie recipe asks us for 2 cups of flour. We don't have a cup measure, but we have a tablespoon measurer. What do we do? And the question is, how many tablespoons of flour would you add? This is our question. Let's work it through together. So we're going to start on the left with the thing we do know. We do know that we have 2 cups of flour we need to make our brownies. Okay? Then our known relationship is that there is 1 cup, and we're going to put it on the bottom so it cancels. 1 cup has 16 tablespoons. I'm just going to write a big T. You could write out tablespoons, but this is a little bit quicker. And then, because this is on the bottom and the top, we're going to cancel that out. Because remember, we could write this as like over 1 if we wanted. So it's 2 cups times, my little laser pointer, 2 cups times 16 tablespoons will give us 32. And since our cups canceled out, we're just left with, at the end, 32 tablespoons. So hopefully that was helpful. That's dimensional analysis and unit conversions.